And for it to end so normally, so quietly, what were the stakes here?
The first thing I saw was the communist tank with the communist flag, you know, moving toward the Independence Palace. And I began to lose the confidence. And everything, I was just feeling like being collapsed. I couldn't believe that that was going to happen. That I couldn't believe that the Americans would withdraw, would end up the war this way.
I went home. I took a shower and I went to bed. And then my father-in-law woke me up saying, "Come see, son, they're coming." And I looked out the window. I must have looked desperate because my father-in-law warned me against anything stupid, referring to suicide or suicidal actions. I promised him I would be okay. And then I destroyed my personal documents, my ID documents or something. And then I left. I went around the streets just to have a look to see what happened when the communists came.
Shortly after 9 a.m., the first North Vietnamese tanks, commanded by Captain Pham Xuan Tay, broke through the gates of the Independence Palace.
Chúng tôi vào dinh độc lập gặp Dương Văn Minh, tổng thống cuối cùng của chính thể Việt Nam Cộng Hòa. Ông ta nói với tôi là chúng tôi đã biết quân giải phóng vào nội đô thành phố Sài Gòn. Chúng tôi đang chờ quân giải phóng vào để bàn giao. Tôi nói với ông ta là các anh đã bị bắt làm tù binh, các anh phải tuyên bố đầu hàng vô điều kiện, không có bàn giao gì cả. Và tôi đưa ông ta đến cái xe dép của tôi đi vòng theo đường này ra đài phát thanh, và ông ta tuyên bố cái lời tuyên bố đầu hàng vô điều kiện và chiến tranh kết thúc.
Khi mà nghe rằng cuộc chiến tranh đã chấm dứt, chúng tôi đã hoàn thành chiếm lĩnh toàn bộ thành phố Sài Gòn, thì người của tôi tự nhiên như là nó nhẹ hẳn đi, như là mình đương ở trên không, nó lâng lâng, nó nhẹ đi.
In the first year after the fall of Saigon, 1.5 million South Vietnamese were forcibly resettled. Hanoi has said that more than 200,000 were sent to prison camps. American sources claim the number was close to 400,000.
We left a lot of people who were very tightly tied to the American government. We left them to whatever would happen to them, and I think that was a very sad thing for me. The other thing that was very sad for me is that, you know, I'd lost a lot of friends in Vietnam in '69. In '70, and it's kind of sad that you think this is done for nothing. You know, it's you know, we have this amazing form of government, but we throw away 58,000 Americans, wound and maim hundreds. We kill millions of North Vietnamese and South Vietnamese, and then we say in '75, after 20 years, doesn't count, doesn't matter. I think it does bother you somewhat how that thing ended.
I think America let Vietnam down, and all of us who were connected with it, yes. But it was a long process, extending over many years and many administrations. At that point, for me, there was just a great emptiness and a great sadness.
It was a terrible defeat for the United States and a drastic condemnation of our policy, not our objective. We made a lot of mistakes, and they were culminated with the evacuation from the embassy.
Well, one would like to say that we left with our heads held high. In fact, it was an ignominious retreat from the roof of our embassy. It was the last act in a drama that sadly and regrettably was the defining tragedy in America since World War II, and I would say remains that. We lost 58,000 men in Vietnam. Our South Vietnamese ally, who were frequently accused of, not willing to fight and cowardice, the South Vietnamese military lost 275,000 men killed in action. Heaven knows how many Viet Cong and North Vietnamese soldiers sacrificed, but the communists themselves have said that the figure of 1 million is probably correct. So the dimensions of the tragedy, it's not just an American tragedy, it's a terrible Vietnamese tragedy. And independent of where one stands in the great ideological debate over whether socialism or some other system is best for the Vietnamese, the fact is that the United States promised the Vietnamese in the South that we would be with them, that if they would stand up and fight, that we would not allow South Vietnam to be absorbed at the point of a gun. And after 15 years or better of that effort, we left the roof of the embassy on the day when that very thing happened. So it's very difficult for me to paint it in positive terms at all. Very, very difficult.